What is good, all you donks in the hood, young swags here, back with another video. A few months ago, not even a few months ago, like a couple of months ago, I made a video on my graphics card that I use for this computer right here. And that is a Vega 56 graphics card. And I got some comments on that asking what the CPU that I combine that with is. And it is this guy. It's already opened and kind of empty because it's in that computer, but it's an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 graphics card. This is not dual A GPU, if that's what it's called. APU. It's not an APU, which means it doesn't include a graphics card inside this processor. So if you want to play games and stuff like that, you need a dedicated graphics card, which is why I have the Vega 56 graphics card. Alright, so let's talk about what's good about this processor and what's not so good about it. First thing that I will say that I like about this processor is that it's cheap. Prices are always increasing and decreasing, but I think this processor goes for around $150 right now. Let me check. Okay, so yes, the graphics card is $180 Canadian, which is probably gonna get you for around $150 American. It's not very expensive, but it's really, really solid. 6-core, 12-thread processor. 6 cores is pretty ideal if you wanna be playing intense games or doing a lot of tasks at once on your computer. It's gonna get the job done. You want 6 cores, and this has it. The other thing that I think a lot of people like about this processor is that it's clocked at 3.4 gigahertz, but it can be overclocked to about 3.9 gigahertz. I myself aren't huge on overclocking the processor or the graphics card, although I did do it once or twice, and it definitely gives you a spec bump. You're able to get more frames when playing games, although you're really gonna start to hear the fan in your computer get a little bit loud, because obviously if you bump up the gigahertz or the speed of your processor, the fans are going to need to work a lot more because it's going to overheat. So it definitely gets the computer a lot louder, but it's pretty good if you want more frames when playing games. One thing about this processor to note for gamers or people who are editing a lot of videos is that this kind of processor really relies on RAM. So that basically means that when playing games, it's going to use a lot more RAM to run those games at a high frame rate. So for example, I have a very good graphics card. This graphics card will run as long as I have enough RAM. So I have 8 gigabytes of RAM. That is just enough for a Ryzen processor. It is literally like perfect. My computer, when playing Fortnite or GTA 5, it uses around 7 gigabytes of RAM. So if I bump up a little bit to get a little bit of wiggle room in there, like kind of get around 12 gigabytes of RAM, it would even run better. So the more RAM you have, the better your computer will run with this Ryzen 5 2600 processor. Now, are there any issues? I haven't found any issues. And if you've watched my videos before, previous videos, I actually almost screwed up putting this thing in my computer. I mean, it's a long story, but it's on my other video, and that survived it. Like, the processor survived that little bump in the road there. So I haven't had any problems yet. It works really well. It does not overheat. It's luckily nothing overheats. I haven't had any of those problems. I've even overclocked it a few times when playing games, and there's no overheating issues. So we're all good there. But overall, if I had to make a change, I would probably switch to an Intel processor in my future builds, but I understand AMD and I like the Ryzen 5 lineup, and so I went with this one because it is a lot better value. I think it's a lot cheaper, but you're still getting a very well put together processor, so I really like it. If you guys are considering building a gaming computer around this processor, I would recommend it. I would even check out the APUs if you're not looking to spend a ton of money on a graphics card yet. You know, like, you can always put together a computer without a dedicated graphics card to kind of understand computers a little more. If you're a little bit of a beginner, like, you could put together a computer that can game with just an APU, which is in the Ryzen 5 lineup. I believe it's called 2400G, that are really good. So if you want to check that out, give it a go. I'm going to leave the link to this guy in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. By the way, this is my new setup. I'm in my room. I have a new setup here. I put my computer out of the basement. I kind of changed my room around, and my computer is right down there. Might be generating some heat in this room at night especially, but that's why I got windows. I'm gonna open those windows up if it gets too hot in here. But I love my setup right now. I love it. I don't have a chair to sit in, but it keeps me active. It gets me to edit my videos standing up, which is a little bit more healthy, you know? You're always on your feet. I guess it helps having my bed right here if I get too tired anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you in the next one. See you later.